So about a year ago, when I was chopped and swagless, I went on Wattpad and reacted to a bunch of questionable fan fiction. However, that was me admittedly beating around the bush a little. The bush in question being Archive of Our Own, or ao3. There is, per the site itself, almost 18 million individual works on ao3, and today I'm going to sift through some of them to find the absolute best of the best that the site has to offer, or probably the worst of the worst is more likely. Before I get started, I just wanted to clarify that this entire video is meant in 100% good faith, and while most, if not all, of the fics I'm going to be taking a look at today will be satire, I have absolutely no interest in making fun of anyone who puts their writing out on the internet or in any sort of space. I am an amateur writer in my own right. I think it's fair to say I dabble, and it's incredibly admirable to put yourself out there in that way, whether it's a joke or not. So, we clear? We clear. Here we are, ao3, a non-profit, non-commercial archive for transformative fan works created by and for fans of books, music, art, games, shows, movies, real-person fiction, and other fandoms. Like I said, almost 18 million fics on this website, and of course, to find the absolute best of the best, we have to first scroll through all 17,900,060 or no 960,000 of these fan fictions. So let's find some really good stuff here. Nope, definitely not. Okay, this might take a while. Help! My girlfriend is tung sahur. Yep. Alright, we found it. This is a Madoka Magica tung sahur crossover fanfiction, I guess. Not that I've seen Madoka Magica. I'm going into this completely blind, but apparently Homura thinks everything is fine after rebellion. However, Madoka starts acting strange whenever Sayaka mentioned tung sahur. Long story short, Madoka becomes Triple T and becomes a brain rot deity. I wrote this at 12 a.m., which is the most lucid time to be writing a Triple T related fanfiction. After many days, months, years, it had taken Homura to finally be together with Madoka. Kyubei, she didn't know how to deal with him yet. He was getting scrawny. She had left him alone for now since he wasn't really doing anything, even though the witches were gone, sort of. Homura still had her time-traveling power from traveling through parallel worlds of the same events. Vile thoughts still lingered in the corners of Homura's mind, with some fear that Madoka and her would be separated again. She'd come close to Madoka, realizing her godlike abilities once or twice beforehand. She knew that one day in the distant future, she would realize her destiny, her power, her fate. But as long as Homura is alive, she will never let her become a shave to the universe. Never heard that one before. Everyone pointed and laughed, because I didn't understand what that meant. Madoka and Homura sat together side by side, leaning onto each other while Sayaka and Hitomi went on and on about something. Sayaka and her both pretended as okay, great. Why do I keep doing fucking reading videos? I'm illiterate. I'm practically illiterate. I'm illiterate in spirit. Both pretended as if nothing had happened between them. They had their amiss moments and their stares, but Sayaka didn't take any action. Madoka, did you hear about Sora AI shutting down? Yes, Madoka looked down, staring at her neatly polished shoes. Thank goodness they're shutting it down now, Sayaka nodded. I was so done with the Triple T crap. Triple T? What's that? Hitomi asked. That weird AI-generated creature. Don't worry about it too much. Hey, not too much on the goat. Not too much on the goat. The one and only AI gem. Sayaka shoved her phone into Hitomi's face, showing tung sahur. He has a long name. It repeats tung 3 times. Hitomi sighed. I think I've read something somewhere about a cult forming around a creature that looks identical to him. Man, seriously? That's crazy, Sayaka chuckled. Madoka, you look off right now. She did indeed. Her face was pale and her eyes were bulging out of her skin. She should probably see a doctor about that. That's just me, though. I'm really fine, she fiddled with her fingers. If you say so. During class, she was rubbing circles around her forehead as she grew paler. Homura was looking around for Kyubei, ready to attack that monster any moment. Her last straw was during the last period Madoka and Homura had together. After everybody left for home, Madoka stayed behind with a bat in her hand, staring off into a distant place. I'm imagining the, remember Animorphs? Y'all remember Animorphs? That is basically what I'm, this little, again, I've never seen Madoka Magica. I very, like, loosely know what this girl looks like, but I'm imagining her, like, transforming into Tung Tung Sahur, like Animorph style. Homura, I was wondering about something. What is it? Don't you think I was destined for something better? Her eyes were turning yellow, and as soon as Homura saw the glowing light, she booked it from Madoka and clasped her torso. Madoka, what's happening? What are you talking about? Homura, I have something to confess. Madoka was molding it into a brown bat, and her eyes were bulging out even more. It was horrifying watching her body carve itself into such a horrible shape. She almost looked like, I'm Tung 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 Sahur! A bomb of smoke imploded around them as Madoka began her final transformation. Madoka! Homura pointed her gun at Madoka. Whoa. Whoa. It was not that serious, I don't think. Is this a common thing in this show? I truly don't know. Homura, ready to restart her meeting with Madoka again. Then she hesitated. Triple T's wings flapped open and luminescent flame wrapped around her forehead, creating a soft halo. Oh, Homura, I'll always be. Triple T was carried away by the explosion, the clouds dragging her away. The last thing Homura ever saw was her beloved Madoka becoming an omnipresent god as Tung 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 Sahur and floating away to the heavens where Homura can't reach. In the heat of the explosion, Homura was blown away by the wind, torn to pieces. Her hand couldn't reach her gun, and nobody came to save her. She sat in the midst of the debris, routing her way to death. Days after the incident, Homura was blamed for pulling an explosion at her school for no apparent reason or motive. I thought she was dead. Windows were broken, but nobody was killed. I was, like, the last thing Homura ever saw. My thought was that she died. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know Madoka Magica lore. Maybe Tung Tung Sahur is just there. Very few suffered any injuries since everybody had just about headed home. Madoka had been labeled as missing since no body parts were found on scene. Search and rescue teams were dispatched and deployed everywhere around the school zone, but she was never found. She was labeled as the only victim of death in the explosion. Sayaka offered testimonies of Homura's mental condition based on previous interactions she'd had with her. Hitomi and Sayaka both provided dual testimonies on Madoka's. Homura was declared as guilty a week after the incident. Do they not have security cameras? I guess this is like some sort of magical world. I don't think they have security cameras in Madoka Magica. It's an interesting thought process, though, I guess. Some say the case was poorly understood and handled due to the timing of the person guilty, and some argued Madoka was still alive. Tung 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 Sahur was peacefully watching over everybody as they mourned for their own god. I mean, no notes. That was, I mean, there's practically a tear in my eye. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever read in my life. You know, I think this is actually going to inspire me to watch Madoka Magica. I had no true interest in doing so until now, but now knowing that Tung 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 Sahur is gonna be there, I mean, I'm hooked. This is one of those fics that's very interesting to me, because like obviously this is like a joke, or I believe in the fanfiction community they call it a crack fic. When something is satirical, but like you can tell this is a talented writer. Like I'm sure if I go to this person's ao3 profile and like scrolled through the rest of their work that would be like actually serious, that they're a talented writer, because there is a lot of like there's glimmers here. If this wasn't about, you know, Madoka from Madoka Magica turning into Triple T, this would be a very good fic. But instead of being a very good fic, it's just perfect, you know? It's we can settle for perfect. You know, some things are just perfect for each other. Bread and butter, salt and pepper, white people, and epic rap battles of history. But perhaps no duo is more perfectly matched for the other than Nagito Komaeda and Sans from Undertale. It took a lot of scrolling to find a Nagito and Sans fic that wasn't like porn for some reason. Like there's multiple pages of this, and of course that'll all be, you know, bookmarked for later. But I landed on Fatal Obsession: The Collapse of Nagito Komaeda, which has like 1,200 words. So we're in for the long haul on this one. By my by my standards as someone who has really never read. Harsh rays of light filled the sky, searing the cold sand of the beach, which the azure waters lapped backwards and forwards on a mesmerizing rhythm. Again, you can see, like, these are talented writers just writing bullshit, like, just because. Nagito didn't like sand. It always gets stuck between your toes like sock fluff. It was kind of gross. The Hope terrorists stood up, stretching in the boiling heat. Something pearly white glistened in the distance like an oyster amongst the heaving swarm of seagulls. Seagulls. They're so loud and annoying, he thought to himself. A short, skeletal figure approached, his blue jacket remaining tightly fitted despite the balmy weather. I wonder if he, remembers your genocides. Just a thought. Hey, Baka. Okay. Sans spoke, his bald bony head smooth and shining. Wow, Sans is so cutie. If only he knew my true feelings for him. I need to tell him. Oh, hey Sans, you're looking dashing today as usual, Nagito exclaimed, looking away, his fingers fidgeting nervously. Sans smirked. Baka, well, I suppose you don't look like a trashy rat today. What is happening? Am I having a fucking fever dream? Wow, really, Sans, I didn't think you could say that to a worthless human like me, Nagito stammered, his eyes slightly saddening. If only I was worthy enough for him. That doesn't matter. He was going to try anyways. Clenching his fist, Nagito turned, locking eyes with Sans. Sans' gaze was sharp yet melancholic as he gazed back. Sans, just spit it out, Nagito. I see, the truth is, Nagito said, ironing out his hunched posture, taking in a deep breath, his heart beating faster, oh my god, his heart fasting to a pounding beat of probably like 180 ppm. Just a rough estimate, we can't get you the, exact measurement of his BPM, just probably like 180. I love you, Sans, Nagito confessed, dropping down to his knees. Please, Sans, just give me a chance, I know I'm not worthy, but... Nagito, I love you too, Sans let out, his voice softer than the fluffy sand pillowing around Nagito's feet. Nagito's heart felt painful, like his whole ribcage was shattering, his heart tearing it apart in each pulse. The feeling spread through him, a whirlwind clouding his vision into a rosy pink haze as his mind spiraled reaching towards the sky. He could finally reach it, finally have it. Sans loved him. Rising up from his knees, the world's gray hues washed away, drizzling down and sinking below the ground to reveal vivid colors dazzling him. The two inched forward, Sans' eyes lighting, taking on an overwhelming electric blue. Oxytocin and dopamine flowed. You did not need to use words like oxytocin and dopamine. You did not use that in your crack fic, bro. Flooded through him like a tidal wave as the Nagito grasped Sans' skeletal cheekbones. The skeleton leaned forward till his bones touched Nagito's lips. Wow, so beautiful moment for real. Sans loved him. Sans loved him. Sans loved him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Sans stood in confusion. Is Nagito okay? He seemed to have zoned out. The wispy-haired figure stood still, his eyes distant, his hands shaking slightly. Wait, the whole of him was shaking. Nagito? Sans said, his voice trembling with uncertainty. For the first time in his stomach started to shiver. Fuck! He's a skeleton! He doesn't have a stomach. Well, I guess he doesn't bleed either, but he bled in Undertow. I don't know. Nagito? It felt like his ribcage was being blown up from the inside, fireworks bouncing uncontrollably as he fell forward, sweat dripping down his face. Air, please. Clutching his chest, he opened his mouth. Anything. His love for Sans was too much for his heart to handle. He clenched his jaw, eyes closed. The world was underwater, slow. But he was flying through the sky, too fast. It was too fast. Slow down. I can't breathe. He wasn't responding. Sans clasped Nagito's hands, slick with sweat. He'd be gone in a blink, the one thing he loved. Swiveling his head, Sans scanned the surrounding area. Someone for his one person. Yo, hold up, that was good. That was a good line. Desolate, empty, nothing. Seagull? Leaping forward, scooping up the feathers, which were light unlike the weight of his hope it carried. Surely this would What? Excuse me? Okay, Chapter 1 of Nagito and Sans, I see the vision here. Again, talented writer. I can tell that this person is a good writer. But they're just using it for Nagito and Sans, which, more power to you, I guess. I would do that. Honestly, I'd do Nagito and Sans fanfic. What am I at? Give me 400 subscribers, and I write Nagito x Sans fanfiction. and read it out loud for a video. I think that's an attainable goal. Alright, one more, because somehow this recording is already like 18 minutes. I'm not really sure how that happened, but I guess the time flies when you're having fun? Would I use the word fun to describe what we're having right now? I don't know. Anyways, this is Help! Mom Sold Me to Disney. It is a Mickey Mouse X reader. I think it's like a ship fit. I don't know. Basically, Mickey Mouse buys your OC. Let's just find out. You thought saw something similar in that one episode where Mickey volunteered to clean up Minnie's yard. Pressed against a glass, his round nose flattened. His eyes took on a cutely comical, "Let me in, please" expression. Seeing your hesitation, Mickey snatched his signature hat from his head and waved it cheerfully. His black ears flicked charmingly. You opened the window. It was the first time you'd actually seen him in person, and you didn't want to offend your guest by staring too much, but it was hard to try to figure out how his flat lines somehow merged with three-dimensional reality. So you're just like, you're okay with this? This is something that's like perfectly acceptable to you? Whatever. To what do I owe the honor, Mickey? You asked cautiously. I'm not doing the Mickey voice. Let the record show. I'm not doing the Mickey voice. Oh, come on, Toots, he laughed. May I come in? Is it about those letters, you asked? Yes, exactly, Mickey exclaimed. You see, the company was worried you weren't getting them, so I came here to check on you. Normal occurrence. Happens to a mandatory occurrence, actually. Gosh, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. I'm got them, you said hastily. It's just that there are so many of them that I couldn't answer, and frankly, all these documents. Well, then you're in luck, because I'm here to help. I don't know. Mickey said, bounding to the mailbox and yanking the handle with the theatrical gesture. 3-second long flood of letters washed over him, which he hastily scooped up and hurried to the door. Dude, you can't open other people's mail. I don't know how that goes in Mickey's Magical Kingdom, or Epic Mickey, or like wherever Mickey Mouse lives. Where does Mickey Mouse live? Obviously Mickey Mouse's clubhouse, but like, is there mail fraud in Mickey Mouse's club? Just a thought. Mickey looked just as natural and at ease in your room. He casually hung his hat on a nail and walked into the kitchen. You could have sworn his footsteps echoed with soft music. The human chair was way too low for him, so you kindly put a pillow on it so you could see each other's eyes. On the table in front of you sat 2 steaming cups of coffee and a stack of unopened letters with stamps shaped like mouse ears. Gosh, let's just come right out and say it, Mickey said cheerfully. You did read our letters, didn't you? The folks at Disney, well, they had their lawyers write them up real careful, so everything's as plain as day. God, Mickey, bro, why are you stooging for Disney? That's crazy. They can't send the mouse to collect. Yes, you said. I'm afraid I've run into a problem here. I think I understand the gist of the offer, but I'm not quite as sure about the specifics. What exactly do your, bosses want to buy from me? Strictly speaking, before Mickey showed up at your door, you didn't even believe those letters were real and felt like the victim of a long-running prank. But yeah, Mickey Mouse. The mouse. The mouse. The 2D, the 2D cartoon one. That guy just knocking on your door, your real 3D, real-life door. That doesn't raise any red flags, any questions. That's just happens to all of us every day, I guess. Why, you, of course, Mickey beamed. Just teasing, but really, we want a whole lot more than just you. We want all their wonderful ideas. He started counting on his fingers. Your swell tastes, your drawing and writing talent, that big imagination of yours, and sure enough, that pretty little doll you made. That is, your main character, of course. When I clicked on this fic, I was 100% expecting it to be a Mickey Mouse traffics you fanfiction, or like kidnaps you or something adjacent to that. So this is an interesting twist. That's quite a lot, you laughed. I think you're trying to shock me. You're right, Mickey beamed and took a sip of coffee, then sneezed cutely. But don't let that scare you. My family cares deeply for its children, and this is one way to show that we care. You should experience it for yourself. And what do I get in return, you asked? First, a ton of money, Mickey said with a wink. How much is that ton, exactly? He snatched a pencil out of thin air and, sticking out his tongue, wrote something on a napkin, then took another napkin and one more, and laid them out in a row. Then, catching your eye, he gasped and quickly swapped the first and second napkins. My bad, he said. That number doesn't start with 0. Can he just, not write on one napkin? Does he have to write in that big ol' font? Or am I getting, like septillions of dollars, you know? I don't know. There are more zeros here than I've ever seen in my entire life, he said. Does Disney really have that much money? Well, we don't want you to starve, he said, winking again. And all these treasures for my clumsy, crappy OC, which I created ages ago? You clarified. That's the top-notch product today, Mickey countered. Imagine how long her image has been brewing in your soul. Trust the pros. We know good stuff when we see it. Why is... So, like, Mickey is... like a talent scout? For Disney? I'm confused. You paused. Your blog and YouTube channel had only recently begun to gain followers, and you still had the feeling that you didn't deserve this skyrocketing popularity, but the intoxicating feeling of pride that thousands of people who eagerly awaited the weekly release of your comic had already settled in your heart. Your OC was receiving recognition you couldn't have dreamed of, and it turned out that she was becoming more alive with each new drawing, and that many people found her funny and relatable, as if she truly was their friend. And you're getting parasocial with your OC, that's crazy. Mickey was also already laying out some documents on the table, humming to himself. Is there anything else you'd like to know? He asked pleasantly. Do you have plans for her yet? Oh, plenty, said Mickey. We've done some preliminary research and a survey. What survey? Where? A lot of people are dying to see the animated series. Say, between you and me, I think we accidentally started a rumor that it's already in development, so they'll all be terrible. That's great. Imagine getting, like, emotionally manipulated by the mouse. You know, I feel emotionally manipulated. I'm scared. You know, I don't think I can finish this. I think this mouse is trying to control me in some sort of way, which isn't something that I had recently thought, but this fic did teach me that apparently if you have decent amount of followers, Disney will try to buy you and your intellectual property. So 500 subscribers, I'm expecting a visit from the mouse himself. I bet they better not send me some, like, B-tier Disney character. I better not see Pluto at my door. If they better send the mouse directly to me, directly to my address. I'm sure Disney already has it. So, just, give me the mouse, is what I'm trying. Give me the mouse. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Frankly, I think I'm ready to never read again after that. That was just too perfect, and that will change the amount of reading that I do by approximately 3%. But in all seriousness, that was a fun little rabbit hole to go down. It's always fun to see some of the more interesting things that the human mind can conjure up, and I think ao3 is definitely a really good place to discover that. But that's gonna be all from me for now. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you subscribed the video, leave a subscribe. Let me know what else you want to see me react to on the channel. And until next time, I'm out of here.